Krajco was of the first survivors who talked about narcissistic abuse under her real name. She died unexpectedly in her home 2008. She was 56 years old. I suspect the narc hive mind was behind her death. In her book, What Makes Narcissists Tick?, Krajco says, narcissistic design. Mask switching. Here are 3 of the faces a narcissist uses most. You get the first when you're boring him because you're talking in about something besides him. He can get quite testy, like a cranky child up past his bedtime. In the second, you're a sight for sore eyes, his mirror, and he wants you to mirror this face so it reflects on him as someone it is wonderful to see. In the third, you're dead meat, because he is launching a surprise attack. He can switch between these masks virtually instantaneously. The most bizarre example of mask switching I know of took place between a middle-aged woman and her narcissistic father. They were in his garage and she was demanding decent treatment. He became enraged and extremely abusive. He raised his cane at her and, fearing that he would hit her with it, she moved out onto the driveway where neighbors might see and hear. At that, he underwent a transfiguration so dramatic and instantaneous she couldn't believe her eyes. She says it was like the difference in Saddam Hussein before and after capture. Suddenly there was a different man before her, a meek, timid, rational, and harmless old man being harangued by his mean and nasty daughter. To pinch herself, she then stepped back into the garage. Instantly, there was the bogeyman again, shaking his cane at her, his face so contorted with rage that she said it looked like the face of somebody in a 100-mile-an-hour wind tunnel. Since his age prevented him from physically overpowering her, he was probably trying to terrify her by his mere looks, as he did when she was a child. She says he trembled like a pressure cooker about to blow. Saliva drooled and sprayed from his mouth as he cursed her and blabbed an absurd play-off-some word in her every sentence as if blowing back her words at her to keep any from getting through and to drown out what she was saying. Still incredulous that his faces were just masks and that she could change them by stepping in and out of the garage, she repeated the test a few times. All it took was moving 3 to 5 steps from inside, under the shadow of his garage roof, to outside, in the light of day. Moreover, whenever she stepped outside, he followed her right to door but would not step out into the light. She says that, considering how stupid and unaware of his surroundings he is, she was dumbfounded at such cunning and acute awareness of whether others might see or hear him behaving badly. But this need not surprise us, no matter how unintelligent he is, this is exactly what you'd expect from a man with over 70 years of practice and letting Mr. hide out only when the coast is clear. She says she thought, my God, he's afraid of the light. Like a freaking vampire. She had never noticed that about him before. She had to prove it to herself. So she tried everything she could think of to get him out in the daylight. Finally she asked him if he was afraid of the light. Come out here on the driveway, where the neighbors might see and hear what you're doing. In there you act like a maniac and shake your cane at me. So, I want to talk to you out here, because you behave yourself better where there might be witnesses. She says she was flabbergasted when he wasn't even ashamed of that. Still he refused to step outside so she could talk to him out there. It was bold-faced mockery now, and he didn't care that she knew it. He was thus controlling the situation. Outside, the neighbors might see him acting like a maniac to block communication and keep her from saying her piece to him, so he refused to leave the shadows where he could huff and puff and blow his foghorn to keep her words out. In fact, he increased the mockery by looking at her like she was dangerous one, the one threatening to attack. He seemed to think he was safer from attack by her in the garage than out on the driveway where others might see. Proof that a narcissist's brain is crammed into his skull upside down and backwards. Actually, he was safer in there. Because he is all smoke and mirrors. His image was safe from the truth in there. This behavior is actually typical of narcissists. I know of many instances of narcissists even threatening to call the police over the victim refusing to just take abuse in silence. All narcissists insist on having their unanswered say. So, if you don't just take their abuse, but try to say, no, I am not a bad person, I am not stupid, I am not crazy, and I want you to treat me with respect, they go berserk. When their usual temper tantrum doesn't cram it down your throat and shut you up, they escalate it. Soon beside themselves, they will bellow at the top of their lungs to drown you out, covering their ears, shutting their eyes tight, and stamping their feet, threatening to call the police if you don't shut up. Compare this to the woman who asked her narcissistic sister, "Why do you try to control my speech?" According to the narcissist, that isn't what was happening. She yelled back the accusation, "You're trying to control my ears." You see, narcissists don't have to hear anything they don't want to hear. They're beyond the looking glass in their little game of pretend. As far as I can tell from what I've seen and have heard from others with narcissistic family members, narcissists seem to really think they have the right to their unanswered say. They have the right to hit you without you even shoving them away so they can't land any more blows. They have the right to call you anything or accuse you of anything without you saying a word in your defense. To all outward appearances, they seem to think you're doing that is a crime they should be able to have you thrown in jail or committed for. So, those who think narcissistic abuse is mere annoyance should consider that everything a narcissist says is projection. This means that, at least subconsciously, they know that they belong in jail or a lockup ward for behaving this way. Back to the woman and her father in his garage. In an attempt to shame him into stopping it so she could get her message through the wall of flack he was throwing up, she told him that she was controlling him. She says he looked stunned by that. She told him that all she had to do was step in or out of the garage to change the face he had on. When he blew this off, she even demonstrated, pointing at his face when his mask changed from Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde and back. See? There you go again. He either couldn't or wouldn't stop it. Still incredulous as his total shamelessness, she called him a snake and expressed utter contempt for this cowardly, low-down sneaky behavior. Still no shame. He just acted as though he didn't hear that and kept right on changing faces. She thinks that attacking any vulnerable prey the moment the coast becomes clear, and putting back on his angel face again the moment it isn't, is such a lifelong habit in him that, like a machine, he's unaware he's doing it. That makes sense. When nothing but predatory instinct figure into your behavior, it is nothing but a conditioned reflex.